Hey there, and welcome back to painting the Daiyokai Dengekitai, which I have to say in a silly voice because otherwise I just don't manage to get through it. So, first up, because it's just taking a long time, it's just getting colours in. So, going to block in all of my whites, all of my reds, and get back to you in just a second so you can actually see it looking a bit more like a miniature. Here we go then, introducing the whites and reds so that they're not just blue, grey and pink. And the miniature starts to come to life, right? So part of the reason for the kind of process with the blue, grey and the underpainting and everything is the underpainting really is about getting into all the details and making sure there's highlights and shading on everything that's like right in the recesses that you don't really want to be painting later. Then the blue grey and the warm grey is about just getting that a suitable layer of paint over the top of the underpainting, or the very sort of initial layer of painting and toning, so that you've got the undercolour for painting your base tones on. So your base tones then, which are these tones, are, in the case of red, applying it quite, it's still watered down slightly, but evenly and thickly enough to be red. Otherwise, red can rapidly turn to pink. And the white is just being laid up, again, very thinly, so you get this kind of variegated tonal quality, and you start getting a range of whites, if you like. So at the moment, this white is kind of like, it looks white compared to everything else, but as you lay up more white over the top, you'll be able to create differences in the white. And then on top of the helmet, the white's gone down. That'll also get all the highlights along with everything else as that's being done. Partly because that'll keep it in line with everything else. So even when painting over the top of that, the underpainting or the base toning, and even the highlighting in that, for that matter, will make sure that any painting that's done over the top as like flat painting as such, picture painting. So I'm going to paint the full demon head on the mask, and that will have all of that shining through it still, so you're still going to use transparent paint when doing that. So it is important to build up all these layers if you want to get a really strong sense of depth to a mini. There are other ways you can use the inks, or there are the tools for doing it, so you can highlight and then you can use the thin, I can't remember what they call them, but various companies do them, like the Army Toner or Army Shader or what have you. Next up though, I'm going to introduce the base tones to the swords, so I'll be back in a moment when I haven't even decided what colour to do the swords. I'm very tempted to do the metal colour, but we shall see, shan't we? I'll catch you in a mo when I've actually decided and done all that. Here you go then, I've just blocked in the sword blades in green, and I'm going to take them up light, then use luminous green, luminous fluorescent green paint on one of them and fluorescent yellow paint on the other. So they'll both be in the sort of greeny yellow range, but different tones. I've applied heavy brown to the hilts and the tsuba, the hand, the guards, so that if I flip these around so you can actually see the hilts, just on the tip there, and this will be taken up to a non-metallic, a chromatic gold colour range. Sorry if you can hear howling wind in the background there, it's a bit of a noisy day, but can't afford to stop. And again, not that you can really see it, but I've just inked in the hand hilts black as well, just so that the leather, which traditionally would have been manta ray skin, is a black colour. So next up, I'm just going to get in all the final colours. So I'm going to put in all the light colours in the eyes and in all the pads and all the things that need to have luminescence coming out of them. And I think they're all going to go blue, because that would bring them in line with the rest, but I'm going to check on the rest of the army and I'll do stuff to bring it in line with that, so I'll get that done and you can see what. Here we go then, I've just added all of the eyes, so you see I've done the blue eye and two green eyes, so it's like a green-eyed, blue-eyed devil. I've applied, it's lime green from the model colour range. I've also applied it to the sword blades and into all of the gaps, and the eye, which was blue by the way, was magic blue from the game colour range rather than the model colour range. And I've just tried to get it into the lime green into all of those recesses. You can't maybe quite see it, but it's all in these and in at the back in this bit here. And this is going to be my sources of luminescence, my light sources, or glowy bits, depending on how you like to call these things. And even up underneath we've got that panel, the bit at the centre, and also the sort of eye bits underneath there. So I'm going to introduce some green glow coming out from underneath the helmet's canopy, dome, not sure, the kabuto. So finally though, I'm going to apply fluorescent paint over the top of the swords, and that'll be the end of my base coating. So I'll get the fluorescent done and I'll be back in a mo. Here you go then, I've used fluorescent yellow paint on the short sword over here, and I've used fluorescent green paint on the long sword over here. So the short sword is the wakizashi, the long sword is the katana. I've also used fluorescent green paint inside all of the luminescent bits throughout the body. And finding the fluorescents are really great for intensifying colour and making stuff that would otherwise not particularly stand out, even if you're using high contrast, so something quite bright against something not very bright. The fluorescents actually really help with the intensification process. And underneath here, you also notice that they start to sort of naturally generate light sources, which is really great. In the eyes there then, I did use fluorescent blue, but the fluorescent blue is kind of the least fluorescent of them. The yellow and green seem to be particularly intense, along with the pink and orange. I used the yellow in the eyes just to give a different tone from everything else, so the eyes are a bit different. Also, just so you can see, I did put in the bits underneath here. So that is my base toning done. So I hope this has been some interest use to you in your painting stuff, and it's coming out amazingly, and this has been some interesting use to you. Thanks for watching, have a good one and take care. Bye bye.